Can Bevo take the Western Bulldogs to their next flag?
Can they? Can he?
I think so.
You reckon he can?
Yeah, I do. I think he's the man. So I know he's already done it in 2016. And I know there's a lot of questions around Luke Beveridge at the moment. And you look at his finals record, 16 and 21, very good. Obviously, 21, they went to the grand final as well and really pushed Melbourne a long way in that game. Other 8 years, hasn't been able to win a final in those other 8 years. So a lot of question marks there. But I think he's done a pretty good job, Gaz. Remember, they were one of the form teams coming in, but early in the season, they were really struggling. I think they were 3 and 5 at one stage. And there was a lot of question marks on Bevo at that stage. But I think he's been able to retool, rejig the team to give them another shot. Now, I don't agree with the talk that he's got the best list. He's got an unbelievable list. I think there's still holes in the list, Bucks.
Where do you rate them as a list?
Yeah, well, I think they were showed up by Hawthorn twice this year on their ability to spread away. So their midfield needs some help with that outside run, their ability to get out and win those balls away from contests. So they need to go away and pick up some players there, I think. So I think it's still a work in progress, that list, no question.
It's a big time for Luke Darcy, I think, is the footy director.
Yeah.
And Meek Baines. They're the guys that, yeah, we can have opinion on whether Luke Beveridge should go on and shouldn't go on. Massive call for these blokes now to sit down and assess where they're at. He's been there a long time. He's able to get them into a final. He's able to get them contending, but has, you know, in recent times hasn't been able to get them across the line. Yeah. It's a massive job for those boys now. They're going to make that hard call.
Yeah, no question at all. And Bevo's got to look at his own decision making too. Now, we love how he spins the magnets and he throws different things at the opposition, but I think there's a time and a place. So I was critical on the weekend of Jamari Ugle-Hagan. His head just wasn't in the game, starting him on the bench. Now, I can understand mid starting on the bench and being rotated, but you don't start your big key forwards who are trying to make an impact and have a presence in the game early. So Jamara starts on the bench the first quarter and the second quarter. How many times did he start on the bench this year in a game, guys, do you think? 0. Exactly. So why would you try something like that in a big final, a cutthroat final at the MCG? Now, the Bontempelli one's an interesting one because people are saying, you know, second and third quarter he played a lot of forward. He actually really didn't play that much more forward than usual. So he played a little bit more, but that's maybe because it was Bont struggling. Now, Bont's really struggling. He's kicked 31 goals going into this game. So I could understand Bevo maybe going, you know what, let's maybe pull a lever and try and get Bont into the game some other way, Bucks.
Yeah, well, the when you're getting flogged the way they were, around the ball in particular, although they were 4 goals to 2 a quarter time, yeah, it's actually harder to find. It's harder to find the ball. The tag is more effective because everything else is working against the team. And it's been left to Marcus Bontempelli far too often.
Yes.
And the reason, when they were playing their best football late in the season, they had other players step up to the mark and they just couldn't match that on Friday night.
Bailey Smith would be a nice help for Marcus Bontempelli. You imagine the help that Bailey Smith would be able to provide.
Yeah, well, he's exactly that sort of running, that spreading play. Yeah, if you take it back to 2021, guys, they actually, you know, he was one of those guys that could get out and win those ground balls, which Hawthorn knocked him over the weekend. But in terms of whether Luke Beveridge can coach in the modern game or the modern style, he's done that before because they won the flag in 2016 based on the way Geelong, GWS, not Sydney, Hawthorn play. Yeah. So those three teams.
No, I don't think anyone. Well, maybe some are questioning whether he can coach, but it's just how long does he stay at this club with this same group of players, and that's the question that they're going to have to answer.
You don't expect him to go, though, at the end of this year, though.
I think it's a really... put it this way. I think it's a really healthy discussion that Luke should be having with Luke Darcy and with Meek Baines. Sit down honestly in the room and have it out. So, you know, of course we're committed to you, we love you. Is there a scenario where we just shake hands and go, I've taken you as far as we can go, or you've got opportunities elsewhere? You know, there's a job going. I think that conversation...
But you'd have to be positive about the way he finished the year, though, with that team, how he rejigged. Because there's a lot of question marks around senior players not playing or not getting games.
I think he could coach him again into a final next year. But as we've heard, Sam Mitchell and we've heard... who was the other coach? We're not here to... Oh, Chris Scott.
Chris Scott.
We're not here to play finals. I'm not coaching for finals. I'm coaching to win premierships. And I'm sure that's what Luke's trying to do. But the reality is he's not able to get them there at the minute. And whether it can go again.
Well, Ken Hinkley will be in a similar spot. But we've seen coaches coach through these lulls. You know, when the group actually rotates and rolls over to the point where your message is nearly fresh again with a newer group of players. But I think that there is a time in modern footy when having the same voice or even the same coaching panel in front of a group it doesn't quite have the same impact.
Yeah.
So that's what you're asking.
Yeah, I think it's a good
to
conversation,
consider,
mate.
and that's definitely what Ken Hinckley would be considering.
Hey, let's go to John Ralph in the newsroom, because I'm not across the whole Bailey Smith situation, but it appeared, Ralphie, and welcome to you, that this has been a fait accompli for the best part of a year, if not even the end of last year. What can you tell us tonight?
Yeah, that's correct. So Bailey Smith will be at Geelong next year. It's just a matter of how that deal gets done. So Bulldogs list boss in Sam Power, he will ask for much more than the current first rounder Geelong has in their keeping for him. It'll be at about 15 to 18. It'll push further than that. I think just both club and player just got grumpy with each other, Gaz. He had reasons to leave. He wanted to play inside mid. He felt like he hadn't been able to do that. Ed Richards has come in, so he would not be able to have that opportunity next year. He hadn't checked out, but I think this year, everyone knew that he was leaving. He trained away from the club at times. He certainly went overseas. But having said that, the Dogs' view is that he's a pick 7 who is 23 years of age, and what they know is under Chris Scott he will thrive. They feel like he's got an absolute decade of dominance there. So they'll believe that Cats first rounder is actually a false first round pick. They want multiple picks, or they want an earlier first round pick. So what we know is that Geelong will say, OK, no one else really wants him, even though you offered him a deal. So we know the Bulldogs will play hardball. We certainly know that Geelong gets their man. He'll get there, but I don't think anyone can really put their finger on exactly why it is he wants to leave this club that, let's face it, could play finals again next year.
Thanks. Yeah, you'll be back with us, Ralphie, with other news. It just sounds strange to me they got grumpy with each other. Therefore, we're going to let this bloke who can make us better, who can take us into the finals and win us a finals, there must be more to it. I know he's had some issues, some health issues along the way. If that's part of it all, I don't know about it. But just on the surface, it appeared that both player and club just sort of came to the conclusion, right, you're not going to be here pretty easily.
Well, say it is a form of anxiety, and that Bailey Smith's decided that he doesn't want to be there anymore. It's pretty hard to just flick the switch on that, because the environment is going to bring that on. So maybe he's decided that he needs a fresh start. And I think players these days are more emboldened to say, hey, this is what I need to maximise my professional career.
Well, we'll talk about that further, I'm sure, in the coming weeks.